Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Coralville City Council to order, October 10th, 2017. Roll call.
Councilmember Hope.
Present.
Gross.
Here.
Gill.
Present.
Dodds.
Present.
Goodrich.
Here.
Okay, all council members are present, as is the mayor and city clerk, city administrator, legal staff, and various other department staff in the audience. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Gill and seconded by Hoft. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? The agenda is approved. We have one proclamation tonight that I'd like to read. Declaring October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in our community. Proclamation, City of Coralville. Whereas domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking affects women, children, and men of all racial, cultural, and economic backgrounds, causing long-term physical, psychological, and emotional harm. And whereas 1 in 3 Americans has witnessed an incident of domestic violence. And whereas children who experience domestic violence are at higher risk for failure in school, mental illness, and substance abuse, suicide, and may choose violence as a way to solve problems later in life. And whereas domestic violence in rural communities exists as a hidden, silent, and often unrecognized crime that is often underreported. And whereas through the inspiration, courage, and persistence of victims of domestic violence, their children, and advocates, our communities are learning to recognize the impact of violence in the homes and intimate relationships. And whereas the Domestic Violence Intervention Program has worked to end violence in intimate relationships for more than 38 years through the collaborative partnerships of advocates, volunteers, local municipalities, criminal justice, health and human services, faith communities, business leaders, and private citizens. And whereas our community achievements should be commended, and we must continue our commitment to respect and support victims of domestic violence and prevent future violence in our community. Now therefore, I, John A. Lundell, Mayor of the City of Coralville, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2017 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Coralville, and urge all citizens to work together to eliminate the domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking from our community. Signed in Coralville, Iowa, this 10th day of October 2017. John A. Lundell. And we have Elias Ortiz in the audience tonight. I'd like to invite Elias to come up and receive the proclamation, please, and we'd love to have you say a few words at the podium there.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, John, and I really sincerely appreciate the support of Coralville. And our partnerships that we have here in Johnson County, including all the counties that we serve. So, including law enforcement. If it wasn't for local law enforcement, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we can do to support victims of domestic violence. So, this proclamation is really important to us. It's just not necessarily just a piece of paper for us, but it is a commitment that we will continue supporting tirelessly those who have been impacted by domestic violence, whether men, whether women, whether children. And this is a higher calling for all of us because it does impact our communities in so many different ways. As a matter of fact, is from one of the statistics that I know for law enforcement is one of the most deadly interventions or things that they have to do when they have to be out in the field. So we really appreciate the Coralville law enforcement and everything they do. So if we, like I said, if we wouldn't have your support, we wouldn't be able to have the resources. We wouldn't be able to do just say, we believe that something has happened to you. We wouldn't be able to tell children that fortunately they have to grow up and they have to grow up a little bit faster just because of the things that they see, the things that they hear, and also experience the aftermath of what domestic violence does. So thank you very much again for your support.
Thank you, Elias, very much.
I do have some statistics based on the Johnson County. So
Okay.
I'm more than happy to pass them out, including some of the activities or some of the local fundraisers that we have here in Coralville. So
Sure.
I will go ahead and pass those out
That'd be fine.
to the council. Yeah.
Well, he's doing that. I'll move on to the next item, which is citizen comments, and ask anyone who'd like to speak before us, please go to the podium and sign in, please.
Good evening. John Grieve, Board Chair for the Coralville Community Food Pantry. Just like to let you know what September looked like for us. There were 743 visits to the pantry in September, and that was serving 348 different families. And what's a little different with my breakdown of numbers this month, we have number of adults were 652, number of children 503. So we're serving a lot of young people in this community. Total pounds distributed this month were 18,571. So the need is still very great, and thank you for all the support that you give to us.
Great.
Thank you.
John, do you want to mention something about the community meal at the
Well,
library?
I should, yes. I was actually a little late getting to the meal due to a service at my church. I arrived at 6:30, and it had been such a success that they were running out of food already. So I think the number served was about 457 or something.
Yeah.
It was tremendous. So that's twice. I think this thing's finally taken root. And the wonderful thing about it is a true cross-section of Coralville that comes to these things.
Yeah.
So it really is a community-building event. So that's wonderful.
It's a growing success story.
It really
gets
is.
bigger every time.
And we're already trying to think about the next one, perhaps around February. So,
Great.
Thank you.
Inside, I hope.
I think probably.
Okay.
You never.
Anyone else in the audience like to speak to us tonight about an item not on the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. And item 6 is property exchange. This is a public hearing and then a resolution. It's a public hearing on the intent to dispose of interest in real property that will swap ownership of the city's, a parcel of land that the city owns. I won't detail you with the numbers, with the owner of a neighboring parcel. It's basically a swap. It's in the stables that are, well, Jim's going to tell us more, I'm sure, but it's basically a equal for equal swap, helps us out and helps the other landowner out. Jim, you can describe it better than me, I'm sure.
I'm going to go ahead and describe it now. Okay. Actually, the land we're talking about is this piece of property up here. It's at the north end of the Stable subdivision, right south of the Olinger subdivision. This is actually existing lot, which is, to follow along right in here. This is the existing lot number 1 of Stable subdivision part 2. This lot was kept by the original developer of the Stable subdivision for possibly building on it himself at that time or in the future. He's decided not to do that. The lot has been sitting there and sitting there. So we had this person that's interested in buying this lot, and it was a deep lot and kind of a shallow lot. And his interest was to deepen the lot so it's deeper and shorten it. So what happens, in his purpose in that was he wanted to build a house on it, but he wanted to build his house a little further away from these backyards of the people in the Olinger subdivision. So he came to the city and wanted to know if we would be interested in deepening the lot for him. So what happened was he gained this piece of ground, and we gained this piece of ground. So the original lot was 43,895 square feet. The new lot's 44,014 square feet. So there's maybe, a very, very small amount of square footage. So basically, it's just a one-for-one land swap.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Open the public hearing. Are there any comments? Any written?
No written.
Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain the resolution.
Resolution approving the disposal of certain real property legally described as Auditor's Parcel 2017087, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Hof, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion. Roll call.
Gross. Aye. Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hope.
Aye.
Okay, resolution is approved, all ayes. The next 4 items are basically the same project, as I understand. And item C is the building report, and that's essentially what you just gave us, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Planning and zoning report, did you?
Planning and zoning recommended approval by 7-0.
Okay. So item E is a resolution approving the preliminary plat.
Resolution approving the preliminary plat for Long subdivision, Coralville, Iowa, is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Hoft. Discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hope.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. And lastly, this resolution is approving the final plat.
Resolution approving the final plat for Long subdivision, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hope.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Very good. Item 7 is Lot 2 in the Iowa River Landing. This is also starts with the building report. Jim?
Thanks again, Mr. Mayor. Lot number 2, Iowa River Landing, Part 2, is this shaded area you're looking at right here. So what we're looking at right now is the rezoning for this particular lot. As you remember, when we did the IRL, we rezoned everything to a CPUD1, and then the idea was that everything that developed there would come in as an individual CPUD2 and a PUDB site plan for that particular development. So what we're looking at right here is just the rezoning from CPUD1 to CPUD2 for lot number 2, Part 2, IRL. This lot is located right north of the Scratch Cupcake facility. So this is East 2nd Avenue, Iowa River Landing Place. So we have
Von Mauer.
Von Maur over here, thank you. The alleyway here, and then of course this is where Scratch is located, and then the hotel and the other retail facilities south of that.
And P&Z report?
P&Z report was 7-0 for approval.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Okay, I'll open the public hearing on this proposed rezoning. Are there any comments? Okay, I'll close the public hearing, and we'll do the first consideration of the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2017-1010, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664 as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as Lot 2, Iowa River Landing, Part 2, from CPUD 1, Commercial Planned Unit Development 1 District, to CPUD 2, Commercial Planned Unit Development 2 District, introduced for adoption. First consideration by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion. Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hope.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes. Item E on this project is a resolution of support for workforce housing tax credits.
I think I have that.
Okay.
Resolution of support for the application of the Watts Development for funding via the Workforce Housing Tax Credit Program and pledging city monies for the same is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Hoft. Discussion. Roll call.
Hope.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes.
Mr. Mayor, could I?
Yes, absolutely.
We didn't look at the site plan for this. The PUDB site plan is part of this first public hearing we did.
Okay.
And all I did is explain the rezoning first, so we've got the site plan to go through yet.
Well,
Okay?
go right ahead.
All right, thank you. So the site plan we're looking for, this is what's known as Building D. Once again, we're right north of Scratch Cupcake, and we're on East 2nd Avenue and Iowa River Landing Place. So it's a pretty simple site plan. So what you're looking at here in this area is just the footprint of the building. This building basically goes sidewalk to sidewalk in this development. There isn't a whole lot of landscaping to look at all. The landscaping along East 2nd Avenue is already in place. It's already in place along IRO Place. So this is the footprint of the building. So the footprint of this building is basically 13,400 square feet of building. And then if we look at the building itself, it's a 4-story building. This is a perspective of it looking from the north, kind of the north, across the street from Von Maur, basically. So it's a 4-story building. The first story along here would be for retail use. The second story would be commercial as well, and that would be for office use. That is also 13,004 square feet in size, as is the first floor. The next 2 floors are 10,500 square feet in size, so they're a little smaller, and each floor has 11 condominium units on it for a total of 22 residential units. So we've got 4 floors, retail, commercial use, and residential use. This is just another perspective of the building, looking at it from the corner of IRL Place and the alley that goes behind the hotel and everything. It's all brick building, brick and stone building, just like the rest of most of the rest of the buildings that are built down there. This is the west elevation of what you'd be looking at if you were standing in East 2nd Avenue. This would be the west elevation, and then the north elevation of the building if you were standing over at Von Maur.
So Jim, we might as well back up on, Jim, how many housing units are there then? 11?
There's 11 per floor, there's 22.
11 housing units?
Mhm.
22.
22 housing units.
Mhm.
That's $2,200 a housing unit, workforce housing.
Any
That's all I
other
have.
questions
Thank you.
on this project? Thanks, Jim, for showing us. We always like to see the pictures, too. Okay, moving on to item number 8. That is pronounced Goff. Is that correct? Okay,
Goff.
Goff subdivision.
That's an old town name.
Yeah, sounds like it is. This is a 3-lot subdivision south of Heartland Drive and Ewalt Basin, north of 2nd Street. Jim, you want to do the building report and planning and zoning report, please?
Sure. As John said, this is the 3-lot commercial subdivision located south of Heartland Drive. So this is the Ewalt Basin that we have here. Heartland Drive going on the north side of it, and Highway 6 or 2nd Street on the south side of it. And just to the east of it is where we have Civco and Robinson businesses. So this is actually by the West Land Use. This is slated to be used as corridor commercial use. It's zone commercial, therefore they're zoning it, commercially 3-lot subdivision. We have the 3 lots. This is an old farmstead, so you're still seeing in this color here the old buildings that are still on the lot. There's a couple houses on it and some other outbuildings. There's even a grain bin on this lot still. But the family wants to get it ready to sell as commercial development. We do have in this corner a street easement on this corner of the corner of lot number 3 and a little bit on lot number 2. In case in the future, there's always been talk, it may always be a possibility to get access from Heartland Drive down to 2nd Street. So if that would ever happen in the future, we just do have this road easement there. If it never happens, it can be abandoned at the time. This also was on P&Z the other night and recommended for approval by 7-0.
Thank you. Consider the resolution, please.
Resolution approving the preliminary plat for Goff subdivision, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Hoff, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion. Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Resolution is passed, all ayes. Item number 9 is a second consideration of a ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance for an industrial park number 2, 6th edition. And Jim, I'll let you describe that a little bit first.
This is the second reading of this one. So this is the, let me make sure I have the right one here. This is the industrial subdivision down on the end of James Street, on the cul-de-sac of James Street. It's a partial warehouse in the back, and it's retail stores around the front of it. So it's a mixed-use building of commercial and industrial, and it's an industrial PUD zoning, so that does allow us to do both industrial and commercial uses in that zoning district.
Okay, thank you very much. This is second consideration, and we have received a request for the council to consider collapsing the third reading as well. So we'll do the second one first and then consider collapsing the third.
Yeah,
You need a motion for before.
Just a sec.
just, there's really no need to do that because there's still the site plan that has to be done. So
Okay.
it really doesn't gain any time.
Okay, so disregard the request?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Kelly.
'Cause that'll be at the next council meeting, the site plan, so you couldn't do anything until then anyway.
Works for me. Okay, second consideration.
Ordinance number 2017-1009, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664 as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as Lot 3, Coralville Industrial Park Number 2, 6th Edition, from I-2, General Industrial District, CPUD 2, Commercial Planned Unit Development, to CPUD 2, Commercial Planned Unit Development 2 District, introduced for adoption, second consideration by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion. Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Ordinance passes all ayes at second consideration. Item 10 is Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2 assessments. These are two resolutions for special assessment process for property owners for the 2 lanes and installation of traffic signals at Wheaton Boulevard that are part of the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2, basically between Oakdale and Forever Green Road.
Yep.
Okay, Don?
Resolution approving the preliminary plan specifications and estimate of cost for the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
I think it was Dodds. Second by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item B is a second resolution for the same project.
Resolution directing the city engineer to file a preliminary plat and schedule assessments for the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Holt. Discussion. Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 11 is a 28E agreement for the city of Coralville's share of a part-time Johnson County Mobility Coordinator position that is partially funded by an Iowa Department of Transportation grant for 2 years.
Resolution approving a 28E agreement with Johnson County regarding a mobility coordinator position, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion? Roll call.
Holt.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 12 is the Iowa River Landing Licensing Agreement. This is for 1,515 square feet of space located at 901 East 2nd Avenue, Unit 115, in the IRL that will house a healthcare supply store.
Resolution approving a license agreement with Iowa Community Medical Services, LLC, is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Hof, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion? Kelly or Kevin, can you tell us where is this particular
This
space?
is on East 2nd Avenue, right next to the Aveda store.
To the Avedas. Okay, yep. So
In
it's
the
on
Watts
the
building.
east side of the street.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Any other? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 13 is 897 Boston Way. It's a resolution for property that was acquired by the city through an abandonment procedure, and the city will seek proposals to rehabilitate this property. It's to set a public hearing, which will be on October 24th.
Resolution of intent to dispose of an interest in real property, that property being 897 Boston Way, Coralville, Iowa, is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Ooh, that was close. Seconded by Dodds. Discussion?
Yeah, this is a property that the city attorney's worked on for some time to get through the process to get back in it. Has a hole in the roof, but the main part of the duplex is is still very stable, and this would be very similar to the Valley View project that we partnered with Habitat on in regards to taking proposals and getting it rehabbed and back to a family again.
Is it just half?
It's just half.
Yeah.
So by next meeting, we'll have the proposals presented to us? Or
Yeah,
I thought I read in the memo that
I
we
sent the-
decide it next
I
meeting.
sent the
but-
bids out already. I sent the proposal or RFPs out already. So this is just to do the, make sure the title, meet the title standards. So at next meeting, we'll have proposals and award the proposal, and then we can go ahead and close on the property, and they can, whoever gets it can,
But I guess that's my question. So we're being presented with the plans, and then we have to make a decision on that same,
If
or-
if you're ready,
Yeah.
if you're not, I mean,
Okay.
obviously you.
the proposals also include a statement of what it's going to be used for, lease, owner occupied, anything like that. So those will be presented too. There's a price, what they intend to do to the property. Obviously, they're required to replace the roof, and the sheetrock inside pretty much has to be gutted. But that's part of the proposals too. So we'll know what that is at that time.
and that date's closed for submitting proposals, or it's still?
Nope, it's still
Okay.
open. So it's open till, I believe it's the 19th.
Okay.
So we still have a ways to go on that. And I sent it out a couple weeks ago, so
Yeah.
Has there been interest in it?
I've got one proposal already.
Okay.
So there is interest in rehabbing it.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution approved, all ayes. Item 14 is the Northeast Area Water and Sanitary Sewer Connection Fee District. This is a district that will collect the cost of the extension of the sanitary sewer and water to the northeast area of Coralville upon filing of final plats.
Resolution setting a public hearing and directing notice of the same for the Northeast Area Water and Sanitary Sewer Connection Fee District, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Hoft. Discussion. Roll call.
Holt.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution approved, all ayes. Item 15 is the Iowa River Landing Drury Parking Ramp Project. This is for an agreement with Terracon Consultants Incorporated for doing some dynamic pile testing of the construction of the ramp there.
Resolution approving an engineering services agreement with Terracon Consultants, Inc. for the Iowa River Landing Parking Ramp Project, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodd, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Hoft. Discussion? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 16 is City Administrator Compensation Package. This is a resolution that increases the administrator's compensation package by 2.5%, starting this past July 1st, and is equivalent to the increases previously approved for the union and non-union employees of the city.
Resolution approving the compensation package for the city administrator is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution's approved, all ayes. Item 17, I'd consider a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented or amended.
Move to approve the consent calendars, item A through FF inclusive. Second.
Moved by Gill, seconded by Hoft. Any discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Consent calendar is approved, all ayes. Item 18 is City Administrator Report.
Yeah, first of all, I'd just like to express our sorrow for the passing of Gail Rogers Cochran. Gail was a longtime employee in our finance department and lived in Coralville for many years as well, so I'm sorry to hear of her passing. This Saturday is Scouting for Food Day, and the food that's collected in Coralville does go to the Coralville Food Pantry, so encourage people to put food out on their front step. And preferably by around 8 to 8:30, and then the scouts will go around and collect those at 9 o'clock. So that's one good way you can easily support the food pantry. And then also on Saturday will be the Shred Day, and that's from 8 o'clock to noon here in the S.T. Morrison parking lot across from City Hall. So encourage people to use that. And then this Sunday is the fire department's open house, and that's from noon to 4, and then from 4 to 8 is their chili supper. So a lot of things going on this weekend.
Okay, thank you, thank you, Kelly. Yeah, there certainly are. I think given it's the bye week for the football team, everybody tried to cram their events this weekend. I think the calendar is full. I actually don't have anything to add to that. You covered everything I was going to say. I do want to give condolences out to our Assistant City Engineer, Scott Larson, in the passing of his father in the last couple weeks. So, Scott, sympathies. City Attorney's report.
The only thing I could add to this coming weekend is I'll have 2 granddaughters here to visit me. That would be nice. Kevin?
I've got nothing.
Okay. Committee and council members report. Bill, we'll start down at your end.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing. I'd like to congratulate our colleague and buddy, Lori Goodrich. She was, she's been by the Iowa League of Cities certified as an elected municipal official, and that I think they need to change the title because we're all that, but
Yeah.
you have gone out of your way to really become more developed as far as a city councilor goes by learning, going to, and you can probably explain it better than I can, but reading this, it sounds like there were some pretty significant things. It'd be interesting to know everything that you picked up on. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I've been on 8 years. I had no idea. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
I thought she listened to you, Bill.
That'd be your first mistake.
Okay, let me just pick up on that.
Okay,
I
yeah, go
appreciate the Iowa League of Cities offering classes and so on the weekends and also online. And it took me 4 years. Amy from North Liberty did it in a year, so that's pretty impressive. But the offerings are out there, Iowa League of Cities. Thank you.
Lori, since you have the floor, why don't you go ahead and go next?
I don't have anything else. I imagine Mitch will talk about the library event. So,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. She's handing it off to you now,
Yeah.
Mitch.
I have things to say, and I don't even have that distinction that Lori has, so yeah, I'll try to follow suit. No, this Thursday. See, I can't even keep my date straight, Lori. October 12th, the library will be closing, I believe at 5 o'clock, and that is for the reason is that the city, in conjunction with the city literature, sponsors the Paul Engel Prize, which is awarded to a writer who's just done some amazing work. It's a very, very prestigious award. This year's winner is Alexander Chi, and he will be bestowed that award at a ceremony at the library at 7 o'clock this coming Thursday. So that event's open to the public. It's a great event, and we hope folks will come. That's all I've got, Mayor.
Thank you, Mitch. Jill, we'll bounce back to you.
I have nothing, thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gil, seconded by Hope. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.